Hello everyone. Merry Christmas. So, we'll be discussing a very serious issue in this video, and I just want to preface it with a disclaimer. Please do not attack or harass this person that we will be discussing in this video. Please do not say anything that isn't what has actually happened. And if you think something that could be possible, at least say allegedly, because I will be saying that quite a few times in this video. So, Abdallahsmash026, he is getting a divorce from his wife, Jess. So that we know is 1000% fact. That is not allegedly. He made a community post on it, and I'll read through that. And he also made another post about how people are going to talk about it, and he doesn't like it, and he's going to sue for defamation and slander. So, we'll get into that very shortly. Verlusify even made a video, and I'll be linking this video to him as well. So, yeah, Abdallahsmash026, you know, he's this family-friendly content creator. Unfortunately, I have to agree with Quit Longer, which I will not be reading, but I will link in the description below. Definitely not everything what it seems. He might seem like a nice guy on the surface, but deep down, he's honestly very rude and very nasty, and I have experiences to go back with that, so I will be talking about this in this video. So 2014, I meet him. I originally met him in 2013, so 2014... Actually, 2013, we talked online. Then we met in person. So we meet in person, and it's okay. Then E3 rolls around. It's a little shaky because he's kind of throwing his opinion, but it's not that bad. And then we get to 2014 for PAX West. And what's interesting is there was a Hyrule Warriors event. I asked if I could go, and initially said yes, and then we got to the door, and they turned me away. And instead of trying to do anything to help me, you know, because I hooked him up with the E3 badge that year. I hooked him up with the PAX East badge that year. I gave him some connections. He just seemed to be like, oh, you just have to leave. And I was like, what? Really? So I go out of my way for you, and then I ask a favor, and then you tell me to leave just because they tell me to leave at the door. You don't go any effort to try to get me in. To be like, hey, this is my friend of mine, he's recording for me, anything. You don't even try. So I'm like, so I knocked down the table. So 2015 comes around, and there is a Smash Brothers panel. And I ask him if he can be on this panel. So unfortunately, he takes the liberty to essentially act like he made this panel when he didn't. And then what's even funnier is that he has a tweet, and he talks about how he did everything himself. Everything he did is himself. And I'm like, no you didn't. D1 was on that panel, DeBuzz was on that panel, and Max was on that panel. Oh, and I was on that panel. So you're saying that you did everything yourself, when in fact you weren't the only person talking. You were not. Other people contributed to that panel. And the same thing happened at PAX West, that happened at PAX East. And then he tells me that he doesn't want any more panels. And I'm like, so let me get this straight. So when it's convenient for you, and you want it so you can get a free badge, it's fine. But then when you're done with them and they've proved useful, you kick them to the curb. Okay. So 2016, I'm just fed up with him. And I'm just like, it's kind of bubbling over. And honestly, I can't blame Jess, because we'll get into that situation in a bit. So 2016 rolls around, and the content creator program comes out from Nintendo. And I voiced it in my video, and then he's like, oh, I've got a great way to help your video get more views. Take your video down because you talk about the content creator program. And I'm like, so let me get this straight. You want me to take my video down after it started getting views and repost, and you think that's going to get more views? And he gives no explanation on how it's going to do better. He doesn't offer any help. He doesn't do anything. So he just says, you can't talk badly about the Nintendo content creator program. And I'm like, you know what? Piss off. And I just cursed at him, and I was like, I don't want anything more to deal with you. Like, just F away. So, now we get into Jess. So, I've actually met Jess, and I've met her in 2014 and 2015. And so, in 2014, there was a call that he had with her because she accidentally cut herself. And the way that he handled the situation seemed to me like he was putting her down. He basically berated for cutting herself. And she didn't cut herself, you know, it was an accident. She was cutting onions or some kind of vegetable. She was doing some preparation. And he basically belittled her. And I'm just like, that's not how you talk to your wife. Like, you don't belittle or begrudge her in that kind of way. And then 2015 comes around, and PAX South happens. I helped him get a hotel room. I stayed with Adam, Mr. AGZ, then. And what's interesting is that they're kind of at odds and ends at each other. So even though everything's perfect on camera, no, they were actually fighting all the way back since like 2015. So I'm not surprised, honestly. And he was just very sulky, and I offered him this cat pin. I was like, here, go take it to your wife. Maybe she'll cheer up. And apparently she felt a lot better, and he took her to like a private breakfast. And I'm not gonna lie, when I had to eat breakfast with him and his wife, it was kind of awkward. It was very weird, and you could just tell they were like looking at each other very funny, and I was like, oh, I guess that's interesting. And now we get to the current day situation. So he's divorcing his wife. Honestly, I am not surprised. Everything that how he is as a person, he's very rude. He puts his perspective in places where probably it shouldn't be. And it's funny because he's willing to point fingers at people, but when something gets pointed at him, it's unacceptable. So we're also going to get through some of the things that he said as well. Alright, so I'm going through right now. Alright. So, keep an eye on your email that's tied to your YouTube account for an email from my attorney regarding a defamation lawsuit. I have also taken note of every single comment and their respective YouTube username and channel URLs to reach out to them. Thanks. So that's literally his words. I'll show it to you in the video. But what I find interesting is, so let me get this straight, Abdallah. You don't like people talking about you, so you're going to just fire lawsuits because that's the way to shut them up. That's unacceptable. Look, if someone, and it's also, here's the problem. It's very hard to prove a defamation lawsuit. The person that's the accused has to go out of their way to prove damages, has to prove this, has to prove a lot of things that caused their situation going downhill. Now, if you look at his social blade, there's no backlash from this divorce. There's nothing bad happening. He's getting off scot-easy, and we'll also get into his statement about the divorce situation, which I find very interesting. And even the video itself is kind of weird, like how the situation unfolds in terms of how he grabs her. And I'm like, you never grab a woman. And I did have a conversation with one of my friends last night, and they said it was okay, but my personal opinion, I would never grab a woman. Maybe you put your hands up. I do remember when my father would have an argument with my mother, he would never get physical with her. He would never try to grab her. He would say, hey, stop, let's talk this out. And he just gets very, Granted, he does mute the audio, so we, the viewer, get less to understand, and we're just supposed to accept what he says on his post, which is very interesting, which I will read right now. So, let's go through that. Okay. I want to preface this with saying thanks to each and every one of you who has been supporting me and my channel as long as you have. Every positive comment, share, and interaction with my videos has been appreciated that keep me fueled to deliver the best content I can. We wouldn't be where we are if it weren't for you. From the bottom of my heart, aww, so sweet. I'm heavy heart typing out this message. There have been a lot of personal issues behind the scenes happening with my life, some of which have spilled into my work life. Well, you know what? Here's the funny thing about that, Abdallah. You're on YouTube, okay? And your public life might come into the eye, whether you like it or not. And just because you want to have it sheltered doesn't mean that it won't happen. And it's gonna happen. And you want to silence people for talking about it? Wow. So let's go on. So spilled in my, and all quick update to what's going on. I regret to inform you that Jess and I are getting a divorce. Okay, so mind you, everything is just I, and it's just one mention of Jess. Okay? So, Jess and I are getting a divorce. I'll be relocating to the West Coast. Oh, easy for you. Relocate to... Please do not move to San Diego. Please do not move to San Diego. Alright, relocating to the West Coast. I ask that you respect my privacy right this time. It's one of the most heartbreaking and difficult situations. So, it's interesting that he is going through all this trauma, but, like, what about Jess, okay? You grabbed her. You grabbed her to, like, put her down. And God forbid what you said to her in that conversation. You didn't reveal to that. So there's a lack of transparency here. So I'm sorry, but people are going to point the finger at me like, well, what did you say to your wife? You cut the stream, so now you're leaving us with questions. So if you think that we're not going to question you, and you want to throw up defamation and lawsuit slander, you can't do that to censor people. You can't be like, well, my attorney's gonna contact you, and you can't say anything about me. No, actually, that's censorship, dude. You can't censor people for wanting to find out about the situation. So, I want to be able to make free content and enjoying, again, I want to be able, and that's basically the conversation. It's just, I just look at it and I'm like, yep, Doll only cares about himself. I want to have a better life. I want to be happy. I wasn't happy that Jess divorced me. No mention of Jess after that. I'm not happy about this situation. So, let me get this straight. So, you're not happy that the situation happened. No mention of Jess other than the fact that you're getting a divorce from her. Okay. And you're moving to the West Coast, which please do not move to San Diego at all, because I will be completely ready to move to another city. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to move to another city. But seriously, don't move to San Diego. But, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. And there are other several situations. A friend of mine went out and had a couple of drinks. And he, of course, takes his background and slams it on her and says, why are you drinking so much? Why are you drinking? And look, I get it. You know, alcohol can be a very dangerous thing. But if someone wants to go out to a bar, that's their decision. You can't force people to do something that you don't agree with and say, oh, I don't agree with you doing that. Okay, well, you have to accept that some people are going to do things that you might not agree with. And just because someone is getting some drinks doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong. Or, for example, when someone invites you on a panel and you take advantage of that situation and you take all the credit for it, that doesn't mean you should, because everyone else contributed to that panel. You took full advantage of that situation. Or, how about when someone took years of their situation and tried to make your situation better, and you don't even do anything for them? Oh, well, that was me. So, I'm not surprised that Jess is divorcing you, Abdallah. You're a pretty garbage person, honestly. And quite frankly, there's nothing wrong with people pointing out that you're a garbage human being, honestly. And quite frankly, I think Jess deserves better than you. So, clearly, you don't care about anybody other than yourself. And I just think it's funny how in 2016, you told a kid to jump into a pile of lava. Yeah, because you weren't winning, and we were cheering for that kid to win. And you were just like, I think you should jump into a pile of lava. Like, where does your behavior end? You know? And here's the wrapping thoughts of this situation. Abdallah, you need to change your behavior. You need to be nicer to people. You don't want to agree with someone. You know what? Sometimes you have to bite your lip. And you have to be like, look, I don't agree with you. Fine. But don't constantly slam your opinion like it's a freaking wrecking ball and that you can say whatever you want and it's not going to have repercussion. 'Cause it is. And honestly, with this whole divorce situation, I'm not really surprised. And the fact that you're using your attorney to silence people is sad. It's really sad, dude. And people are going to call you out. You know, whether you want to pretend like this situation is swept under the rug, no, it's not, because Jess hasn't come forward. You really haven't given your full story. You just gave a statement of, oh, bad things happened, 2020 bad year. It's like, yeah, we all know 2020 is a terrible year. But your statement gives us nothing. You just said you divorced Jess. That's it. So what happened? Nothing. You just throw out this conversation Here are my closing thoughts on the whole situation. I'm sorry, but my camera kind of veered out. People were coming by, so I have to redo this part over again. So, Abdallah, you need to change your behavior. You can't be throwing lawsuits and NDAs trying to shut people up because you treat people badly. If people treat you badly, then you have to take responsibility for your actions. You can't just try to silence people because it's not easy for you. And you want to know something? When someone feels wronged, whether you agree with them, whether they are in the right or not, you still have to talk about it. You can't just skirt it under the table and act like everything's okay and that you don't have to worry about it anymore. Because you want to know what something? You're going to get another situation where your wife is going to get pissed out, it's going to bubble over, and you're going to have to make a statement. And you know what? Maybe the next time you do, it's not going to go as easy as you liked. Because you got off pretty easily. No one really questioned you. They just said, oh, I'm sorry about your divorce. Oh, I'm sorry for you. But they don't mention Jess. They don't talk about what Jess is going through. Everything is just you, and nothing about Jess. And I personally hope that nothing bad happens to Jess. Because, you know, if she called you a liar on stream, then clearly you did something wrong. And allegedly people are saying you cheated. Allegedly, I am throwing that out, allegedly, but we don't know that for sure, but clearly you did something that wronged her, and clearly how you make promises to people, like you made promises to me, that's kind of how your behavior is. And I'm not surprised, honestly. If that's how you treat me and several other people I've been around, and that's how you probably treat your wife, yeah, you got a divorce, buddy. So, anyway, I'm sorry this is this video for Christmas, but like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thoughts in the situation below. Do you think Abdallah got off easy? I think he got off easy. And, yeah, do you think Jess is okay? I hope she's okay. I hope she's alright. I hope the allegations are false. I hope she's safe. And, honestly, we don't need people that treat others like garbage. That's all I'm going to say on that end. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Bye.